And I've got a question for you around personality in a little while, but this is where it gets difficult, because the conversation moves on and things get introduced into the conversation. You think, I've really got to pick up on that point. Right. So can we talk about some of the benefits then, right out of the gate then, about developing a strong brand identity and a strong visual identity? Are there typical steps that people can work through to achieve that? What defines a strong brand identity?
Well, I think it's different for everybody. Everybody has their own idea of how they want their brand to look. And brand identity is just that one element. It's the way your brand looks. And how do we figure out how we want our brand to look? And that's where I take my clients through the mood board process. And so I have the mood board challenge, which you've mentioned, which we can talk about more at the end. And I've also, up until recently, I include mood board creation in every single project that I do. And the reason we do that is so that I can get clear on the way you want your brand to feel. So we, pull out photos and quotes and colors and image, all the different things to create this overall feeling, so that when I'm designing your brand identity, I know already how you want your audience to feel. So that's kind of where the whole feeling comes into play. But now I've got my clients creating their own mood boards, and it's actually been kind of exciting for them to be able to do that on their own, and for me to be able to, to know that I can show people how to do that.
Yeah, that's an interesting part of the process. We're going to talk about the mood board challenge a little bit later on, because I'm particularly intrigued around, as you say, how people are creating their own compared to the way that you maybe would have guided them on a one-to-one basis, and how you've seen that evolve, and how that's maybe, or whether you feel it sharpened your own skill set in being able to translate something that you consider to be an innate ability, but how to actually translate that so that other people can get the best of your ability without you actually having to be sat with them, sort of side by side, in that way to do that. So, so for people just starting out, or, maybe doing the side hustle piece at the moment, but knowing that they definitely want an online existence and they want a presence, there's a temptation, I guess, for particularly maybe the side hustlers to feel that, not that they're marginalized as such, but because they're not in the online space sort of 24/7, they're often doing a corporate thing, or they're otherwise occupied during the course of the day. How can they start out? What's the best advice that you would have for someone? First steps, they're under time pressure. They will be feeling that they need to do all the things. The online world's a very noisy space. How are they going to create an initial impact that looks cohesive, but isn't necessarily all in, as it were, as a completed project as such? Right. What are some key things they should be looking for to start out with?
Well, before they even start designing anything, I think that they do need to get clear on their message. And I have everybody figure out what is their value proposition statement. And that is, what do they do? Who do they do it for? And how is that person going to feel after working together? So there you've got what the product or service is, who the target ideal client, or who your ICA, your ideal client avatar is, and the feeling that you want them to have after working together. So you've got your three elements of that value proposition statement. So I have everybody get clear on that, whether I'm designing for you or you're designing yourself. That's kind of the first step that you want to make sure you're clear on. And then from there, there's a lot of easy resources as far as like picking your colors, picking your logo, or picking your fonts, your colors, and your logo. And you can hire a freelancer, a cheap freelancer, to do that for you. You can go onto Canva, and Canva has actually a logo templates. So you can, I don't know if all of your audience is familiar with Canva, but that's the tool that I use most for my DIYers. And you can just go on there, grab a logo template, put in your colors, and be on your way. And then, start creating things using those colors. Is that the right way to do it? It's not perfect, but that's the fastest way to get something out there. The thing is, like, when you're just starting out, you might not be 100% clear on where you're going. So it's good to just start with something, just get something out there. And then once you've gotten it out there, once you see that people are picking up what you're putting out there, then you want to start doing more brand strategy work.
I think it's Canva is something that I use, and I worked in a design agency for 14 years, and I have to say I now look at something like Canva and think, yes, I totally get the difference in what I would call the world of professional designers designing professionally against an ability to create something quickly, fairly simply, pretty much drag and drop, fairly intuitive, as being a huge benefit, certainly in the entrepreneurial world, to give yourself half a chance to create some graphics easily, not having to pay for a full-on professional job in that early stage. It gives you ability to appear on different platforms. It gives you template sizes of the right size to start with. And funnily enough, I was actually going to ask you about any resources that you personally would recommend or that you use that you think are great for sort of either quick and easy or slightly more detailed and a bit more professional with a bit more functionality, let's say. But Canva, you've obviously mentioned there. What about things like image libraries and so on? Do you have a go-to favorite there?
Yes, for sure. I'm a member of Adobe Stock, and I get most of my stock images I grab from there for my clients. But actually recently I found a lot more on Unsplash, and I know a lot of people use Unsplash because the images are free to download and free to use. Whereas products, programs or services like Adobe, there's a fee. It's not outrageous, but for me as a designer, it's worthwhile for me to have that membership with them. But Unsplash has been great. And I actually, as I've developed my membership program, the Simple Brand Academy, one of my goals in developing the program was for the program's branding to be almost 100% free, so that I can show my members this entire brand was created for free. And so you can do it too. This is how, this is how I've done it. And now I basically walk them through inside of the membership, how I've done all of these things, and images are free. The logo was, created in Canva, all these different things. So I use Unsplash, Adobe. Creative Market is great for vector images. Premium fonts I get through Creative Market. There's another website called designcuts.com, which I've gotten a lot of design elements and fonts from. Many of them are free. So those are just a few of the ones that I use.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? I've used Unsplash and so on as well. And I think one of the things that I've discovered using that is it is a bit like Google at the end of the day. It's about how well can you tie down your search terminology as much as anything.
Right.
Has a large part to play in what you get presented with. And again, I can totally see the value, as you say, in some of those paid services from a design perspective. And again, I think that in some of the things that I've looked at over time, yes, you can clearly see the availability or the breadth of choice around images. Again, for some paid services can definitely be worth it if you know that it's going to be a cornerstone image within what you're trying to portray or use as a very consistent backdrop. It doesn't take a lot to make that a worthy investment at that point in time, even if things evolve thereafter.
Right.
But if you can build that in, that's great.
I will say, even some of those paid stock services, though, I've run into multiple brands using the same images. So it's, the good images are going to stand out and people are going to get the image. There's no, the only way to have your own truly authentic images is to have your own images created and your own photo shoots. Like I have even styled my own office here just for some of my branding, because everybody's using the same computer images from Unsplash. So the only way to get your own is really to grab your iPhone and use a good photo editing tool and just make your own, or hire a photographer.
Now you're going to have to help me with this, because I'm just going to try and line something up. You're going to have to make sure I've got my head in the right place where people could find this. Now, I think that this is something that you did in your group DIY Design Alliance, which was you shooting a Loom video of how you created 18 images, I think for Instagram posts, effectively out of one image. Now, can you, and I have to say, yes, I use Canva. Yes, it's what you used. But I have to say, it was one of those moments where I suddenly thought, and this is why you need other people in your life to give you these little insights to how they get this stuff done so efficiently.
Yeah.
So can you just confirm for me, is that still available? Is it in your group DIY Design Alliance, or can people find it somewhere else? Because if you want to see how to create images effectively and quickly, it is an amazing video that Sarah's done. And it's definitely worth, I think it's just under 10 minutes, I think, as a video, isn't it, to cut that together.
Yeah. It's in my group. You might have to scroll down a little ways to find it. Or maybe there's a videos tab right inside of my group. I think you can find it that way. Actually, I'm not even sure, because it wasn't a video shot on Facebook. It was just a link that I posted. So I will grab it and I'll put it in the top of the group so that anybody checking it out can find it in there. But yeah, it was just a random idea I had. I had this one photo I had a lot of detail on my desk. I had a lot of different things going on. And I thought, oh, I can crop this 9 different ways to make 9 different photos. And then all I have to do is put quotes and blank type word posts in between. And you've got 18 posts right there.
Yeah. I have to say that was one of those jaw-dropping cups of coffee that I had whilst watching that, thinking, oh yeah, look at that. So easy. But it's like, it's only so easy once somebody shows you the way, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, so please, if you can send me the link, I'll make sure that goes out with the replay notes and so on, as well, because I think it's definitely worth it. And I know that you've produced some other things within your group as well, and that I'm sure people will find of tremendous value to go and check out there as well. So the subject of personality, and I'm going to tie this back into some of the things that you just referenced, image libraries, fonts, all of these sorts of things, we have to try and find a way to reflect our personality in what we present to the outside world. So any tips on how we can do that without, I'm going to say, forcing it as such? How can we do that in a way that feels natural? Or is this really what the mood board challenge is designed to do in the beginning?
Yeah, I think the one thing to think about when it comes to your brand personality is, do you want your brand personality to be the same as your personality? Do you want your brand to just be a direct reflection of you? Or maybe, some people kind of have their own personal life and then they want their business to be something different. Now, I will say, when you do it that way, it's hard to feel like 100% lit up in your business when you're trying to make your business be something that you're not personally, for a personal brand. So how do you do that? Yeah, I mean, just finding images that resonate with you, thinking, places that you want, like, think about what type of a home you would want to live in. What is what is your environment? Is it modern and clean and like lots of white and straight lines? Or are you more of a cozy fall person that like loves, pumpkins and fall leaves? So it's really just getting clear on understanding your own personality and what you love, and then finding the images to reflect that, and then going through the whole mood board challenge, which is a lot more steps involved to really get rid of those things that don't work and that don't match and that don't really make a significant difference when it comes to your actual brand. And just kind of weed through it and then, once you have that mood board and you look at it, you just know. And most people who have gone through the challenge have said that, like, as soon as they get it, they just know that it's a true reflection of them.
Yeah, I have to say, some of the posts that I've seen people put through that have been posted into the group and so on, I have to say, how people have collected these things together is something that I really must try and join in sooner or later on, as well, because I think that I would definitely say I have evolved by default rather than by intention. Mm-hmm. And it's the concept of, as ideas come and you think things are moving forward and so on and so forth. And I would definitely say it's something that I've been personally guilty of, and actually forcing myself to go through the process of a challenge such as yours, I think would very much help collect those sorts of things together. So I think it's also a good time for people to be doing it, as you say, coming into fall. It's a change in colours,